The world didn't break him all at once. It took its time, piece by piece, carving away at him until he became a stranger to his own reflection. Rayan had once believed in people, believed in loyalty, in kindness, in the promise that good hearts returned to those who gave them. But the world corrected him. It taught him that kindness is often taken as weakness, that loyalty is only valued until betrayal offers a better reward, and that a good heart is nothing but a target for those who feed on innocence. He learned these lessons not from books or stories, but from scars etched into the deepest parts of him. It began with trust. He trusted people who spoke with soft voices and warm eyes, who promised support but vanished when he needed them most. He trusted friends who smiled at him while hiding the knives meant for his back. He trusted family who preached love yet abandoned him when life became inconvenient. Rayan kept giving, kept believing, kept hoping, until hope itself turned into a kind of poison. When everything collapsed, it happened in silence. No dramatic storms, no loud arguments, no final warnings. One morning, he simply woke up and realized the world around him had drained him dry. The people he fought for, the ones he lifted, the ones he protected, they had moved on without a backward glance. They took what they needed and left him with nothing but an echo of who he once was. And that echo hurt more than any wound. He spent nights staring at the ceiling, wondering where he failed. He replayed every conversation, every moment of trust, every sacrifice, trying to find the point where the world decided he was no longer worth keeping. But the truth was simple. He was never the problem. He was merely too soft for a world that respected only the ruthless. The breaking point came the day he asked for help, just once, and was met with excuses, silence, or the kind of sympathy that felt like an insult. People who once called him their pillar now acted like strangers. And it was then, in that final moment of abandonment, that something ancient inside him cracked. Not broken, transformed. He walked away from them all. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, but because there was nothing left in him for them to take. He left the town, the voices, the expectations. He found an abandoned place on the edge of a dead forest, where the wind howled like a wounded animal. It was quiet there, quiet enough for him to hear the truth he had been avoiding. He had spent his whole life trying not to become the thing the world accused him of being. Too intense, too silent, too cold, too focused, too much. But now he saw clearly, these were not flaws. These were weapons. Alone in the ruins, Rayan let the world fall away. Days bled into nights as he trained, not his body, but his mind. He taught himself discipline sharper than any blade. He learned how to expect nothing from anyone. He learned how to fight with silence, how to walk with purpose, how to turn pain into fuel. Every scar became a reminder that weakness had no place in him anymore. He stopped asking why people left. He stopped seeking closure. He stopped hoping for understanding. Hope was the first chain he broke. Forgiveness was the second. The fire inside him, once dim and trembling, grew brighter, colder, more focused. He didn't want their apologies. He didn't need their approval. He only needed one thing, a reason to rise again. That reason came not from a person, but from clarity. One night, as the cold bit into his skin, he stood facing his own shadow and finally understood. The world didn't destroy him. It revealed him. It carved away the softness until only the truth remained. He was not meant to be ordinary, not meant to blend in, not meant to be understood. He was meant to endure. And those who endure become forces the world cannot ignore. Rayan stepped out of the forest months later, not as the man who entered, but as something forged from the ashes of his old life. His eyes carried storms. His silence carried weight. His presence, once gentle, now felt like a warning carved into the air. He didn't walk with anger. He walked with purpose, each step echoing the vow he carved into his heart. Never again would anyone decide his worth. Never again would he break for people who never cared to understand him. Never again would he bow to the expectations of a world that only valued him when he suffered. He would rise, not for them, not for love, not for validation, but for the version of himself they tried so hard to kill. He returned to the world not with softness, but with steel woven into his soul. People who once mocked him now felt something colder when he passed: fear, respect, a quiet acknowledgement that something untouchable now lived within him. Rayan did not seek revenge. He didn't need to. Life would handle him. He didn't waste breath proving who he was. He simply became. And becoming was enough to shake the ground they once walked on together. He wasn't just changed. He was reborn in the dark they pushed him into, and he would never be the same again. Rayan's return to the world went unnoticed at first, as all storms do before they break. He walked through familiar streets with unfamiliar eyes, seeing everything differently. The people who once drained him now avoided looking directly at him. Something about his presence stirred discomfort in their bones, an instinctive warning that the man they once dismissed no longer existed. He didn't speak to them. He didn't need to. Silence had become his strongest language. He moved with purpose, rebuilding himself piece by piece. Not physically, his body was already hardened by isolation, but his path. He found work where silence was valued and strength was needed. He took no shortcuts, trusted no promises, accepted no friendships that felt too easy. He wasn't cruel, he was precise, selective, unreachable. People whispered about him. He changed. He feels dangerous now. He isn't the same person. They were right. He didn't bend under pressure anymore. He didn't flinch at insults. He didn't care about opinions or gossip or expectations. Their words meant nothing because he had learned the truth. Those who speak the loudest are always the weakest. Real strength moves quietly. But the world never lets someone rise without testing them. His first test came when the same people who once abandoned him suddenly returned, pretending concern, searching for the version of him they could control. They wanted access to him again, to his loyalty, to his effort, to the emotional support he used to give so easily. But Rayan didn't offer softness anymore. When they smiled, he didn't smile back. When they apologized, he didn't respond. When they tried to reopen old doors, he kept them shut without hesitation. He wasn't rude, he was honest. And honesty is something people fear when it doesn't benefit them. Soon, the same people who begged for his warmth whispered that he was cold, arrogant, heartless. Rayan didn't care. He had buried the need to be understood. Another test came when life tried to push him back into the shadows. Unexpected losses, financial struggles, setbacks designed to cripple the old version of him. But he didn't break. He didn't collapse. He stood taller, because once you've survived emotional death, everyday problems feel small. Pain no longer frightened him. Pain was familiar. Pain was fuel. He faced every obstacle with the same quiet force the darkness had forged into him. When others panicked, he stayed calm. When others gave up, he kept walking. When others blamed the world, he adapted. Strength isn't loud, it is consistent. And Rayan was becoming unstoppable. Months passed, and something unexpected began to happen. People began to follow him, not out of admiration, but in search of the strength they lacked. The broken, the forgotten, the ones who had suffered quietly just as he once had. They were drawn to him like moths to a flame. But this time, he wasn't burning. He became a guide without trying to be. His silence taught resilience. His presence taught discipline. His eyes taught truth. He never gave speeches. He never acted like a hero. He simply lived, and that was enough to light fires in those who had lost their will. The same world that once abandoned him now watched him rise with a fear they didn't show on their faces, but carried in their hearts. They had pushed him into darkness, believing it would destroy him. Instead, it rebuilt him into something they could never control. Rayan became a force, calm, relentless, unbreakable. He moved with purpose, left behind what no longer served him, and carved his own path without asking permission. The darkness no longer haunted him. He commanded it. One night, he stood on a hill overlooking the city that had once chewed him up and spit him out. The wind howled around him, but he didn't flinch. He had survived the place that tried to destroy him. And survival is its own kind of victory. Rayan whispered, not to the world, not to the people below, but to the version of himself he buried long ago. You rose. He didn't say anything else. He didn't need to. The darkness around him bowed, not in fear, but in recognition. He had not just rebuilt himself. He had become inevitable.